Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into the foods we eat. The stuff we grab at the store without thinking twice.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. Get ready for some ick factor moments.
Yeah.
But more importantly, some real food for thought that might change how you shop.
I'm all ears. Where do we even begin with 15 things?
Right. There's a lot to unpack, from seafood and margarine to coffee and even burgers. Buckle up.
I am. Okay, so anything about Elon himself in this video or...
Well, one thing that really jumped out was his aversion to seafood. He used to love it, but completely changed his tune after learning about the industry's practices.
Really? That's pretty surprising. He's not exactly known for being squeamish.
Yeah.
What's so bad about seafood, according to this video?
Well, the video highlights a bunch of issues, starting with unsustainable fishing practices, like bycatch, for example.
Ah, right, bycatch. That's when those huge fishing nets accidentally catch tons of other marine life, right? Dolphins, sea turtles, even endangered species.
Exactly. It's incredibly damaging to the ocean.
The more negative type of bycatch, which is, stuff that isn't marketed or it's discarded at sea.
Honestly, I'd heard about bycatch before, but I never really made the connection to, the seafood I buy.
It's easy to miss those connections. The video also mentions how seafood is transported, which can be pretty unsanitary, apparently. They talk about fish just being jostled around on dirty truck floors, sometimes sitting in pools of yucky water.
Okay, that's a little unsettling.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why Elon might be steering clear.
It makes you think twice about where your food comes from, that's for sure. I guess the takeaway here is choosing sustainable, ethically sourced seafood is crucial.
Right. Voting with your dollar, supporting the good guys. Speaking of choices, let's talk about margarine. That supposedly healthy alternative to butter.
Oh, yeah, margarine. I used to think it was the healthier option, too. But I've heard some things.
Well, this video doesn't hold back. It basically says that margarine goes through some intense chemical processing. One of the main things is hydrogenation. That creates trans fats, which we know are bad news for your heart.
So it's all a bit of a facade, then, that healthy image.
Exactly. And the processing doesn't stop there. They use chemical solvents like hexane. They bleach the oil and then deodorize it because apparently the whole process creates a really bad smell.
Yeah.
It's quite different from that image of spreading wholesome goodness on your toast.
Wow, I had no idea it was that complicated. And what about those health risks you mentioned?
Well, besides the heart disease risk from the trans fats, there's also potential for inflammation. And then there are concerns about certain preservatives, like BHT. It's a synthetic antioxidant, and they say there might be some toxicity issues. The video also mentions GMOs and glyphosate, that herbicide, being used in vegetable oil production. Raises concerns about our health and the environment.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm sticking with real butter from now on. More saturated fat, maybe, but at least I know what I'm getting.
Sometimes simple I ask better. Okay, this next one might make you reconsider your coffee order. Kopi Luwak coffee. You familiar with it?
Oh, yeah, the coffee that's eaten and cooped out by a civet cat, right? Always been curious about that one.
Well, buckle up. It's one of the most expensive coffees in the world, marketed as this super exotic delicacy. Supposedly smoother, less acidic flavor because of the whole civet process. But this video, it exposes a dark side to all that.
I was thinking it seems kind of ironic how something so natural could be problematic.
Exactly.
Oh.
Turns out a lot of Kopi Luwak farms keep these civets caged, force-feeding them coffee cherries, keeping them in really stressful conditions just to make this special coffee. Not exactly the cute image of little animals picking the best beans.
That's awful. I guess it's the same story everywhere. Big demand and ethical concerns go out the window.
Sadly, yeah. And get this. The video says a huge percentage of Kopi Luwak sold is actually fake. Just regular coffee with a fancy price tag.
And you might not even be getting what you pay for. Okay, I'm officially wary of anything too good to be true.
Wise move. All right, let's get a little more relatable. Burgers. Those fast food giants. We've all been there, right?
Oh, definitely. Who can resist a juicy burger every now and then? Although, I guess, knowing what goes into them.
This video doesn't sugarcoat it. While burgers can be a tasty treat, they can be a nutritional nightmare, especially those monstrous ones from fast food chains. We're talking over 1,000 calories sometimes.
Yeah, that's a whole day's worth right there. And I've always wondered about the meat in those things, what they say about that.
Well, they point out that a single patty can be a mishmash of meat from multiple cows, and sometimes from different countries even. It's a bit concerning, thinking about potential contamination and all that.
Not exactly something you want to imagine while biting into a burger.
Right. And then there's the whole pink slime thing.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. What is that exactly?
It's basically ammonia-treated beef trimmings. They use it as a filler in ground beef. Makes the meat cheaper, but
Yeah.
yeah, not appetizing.
Ugh, that's just wrong. I think I'll stick to making my own burgers from now on. At least I know what's going in there.
Good call. Okay, brace yourself for this next one. It's about processed vanilla flavor.
Vanilla flavor? What could be so shocking about that?
Well, according to the video, it sometimes comes from a very unexpected source, castoreum.
Castoreum. I'm drawing a blank. What is that exactly?
It's a secretion from beaver anal glands.
Wait, hold on. Beaver? You mean there's a chance there's beaver butt juice in my vanilla ice cream?
Yeah.
It's disturbing, to say the least.
Yeah, not exactly what you want to picture while enjoying a sweet treat, right?
Yeah.
Good news is they rarely use castoreum these days because it's expensive.
Hmm.
But the knowledge is enough to make you pause.
Oh, definitely. So if it's not beaver
Mm.
stuff, then what is it they use?
Most artificial vanilla flavoring comes from vanillin. It's a synthetic compound derived from things like wood pulp or even clove oil.
So they basically found a cheaper artificial stand-in for the real thing. It makes you wonder what else in our food isn't quite what it seems.
Exactly. Speaking of seemingly innocent foods, let's talk about tomato ketchup. I mean, who doesn't love ketchup?
Ketchup? Sure, but I can't imagine there's anything too crazy about ketchup.
Oh, there is. This video really goes into detail about the hidden sugars in ketchup. It can be a major source of added sugar, including high fructose corn syrup, which isn't exactly health food.
So that innocent squeeze bottle could be contributing to some serious health problems.
It's definitely something to consider. And it's not just the sugar either. There's all the sodium in ketchup too. All that salt and sugar, it takes a toll on your body over time. High blood pressure, kidney problems, all sorts of issues.
Okay, you've officially made me rethink my ketchup habit. Maybe I'll stick to fresh herbs for flavor instead.
A good idea. Fresh is always best. Okay, get ready for this next one. It involves bugs. We're talking about red food dye.
Bugs. Okay, now I've got my attention. What kind of bugs are we talking about here?
Carmine, specifically. It's a natural red dye that they get from, get this, crushed cochineal insects.
Wait, so that bright red color in, like, my strawberry yogurt could be from bugs? No way.
Oh, it's true. It takes something like 70,000 of these tiny insects to make just 1 pound of dye. It's pretty wild. And while it's generally safe for most people, some folks have allergic reactions, and it's not great for vegans or vegetarians or people who keep kosher.
I can see why. So why not just use something else then?
Well, they do have synthetic red dyes like Red 40, but those are often linked to even worse health problems, like behavioral issues in kids, for example.
It's a lose-lose situation then. Maybe I'll just avoid red-colored foods altogether.
That's not a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, on to another pantry staple. Canned mushrooms. They seem harmless enough, right? Well, there's a little secret the FDA allows that might gross you out.
Okay, hit me with it. What's the deal with canned mushrooms?
The FDA actually allows a certain number of maggots and mites in canned mushrooms.
Maggots! In my mushrooms? Are you serious?
I know, right? It's not exactly appetizing. Their reasoning is that it's just economically impractical to get rid of all natural contaminants.
So a few bugs in your food is okay, as long as it keeps the price down. That's their logic.
Basically, yeah. They say those little critters are generally harmless in small quantities, but it's still pretty gross to think about.
You know what? I think I'll be skipping the canned mushrooms from now on. Fresh mushrooms might take a bit more effort, but at least I won't be worrying about any extra protein. Speaking of extra ingredients, what about bread? Seems pretty basic, right? Flour, water, yeast. But this video says there's one ingredient that might surprise you.
Yes, bread. That seemingly innocent loaf can have some secrets, too. It's L-cysteine.
L-cysteine, what's that? Some kind of preservative?
It's an amino acid they add to bread as a dough conditioner. Helps make it soft and speeds up production. Sounds harmless enough, right?
Yeah, I don't see the issue.
Well, the cheapest and most readily available source of L-cysteine is human hair.
Hold on. Human hair in my bread? Seriously?
Yep. They literally collect hair from barbershops and salons, process it, and extract the L-cysteine. So, yeah, you could be biting into someone's old haircut every time you have a sandwich.
That is both fascinating and horrifying at the same time. Although I guess it meets FDA standards.
It does, and it's not considered harmful, but still. Kind of makes you think twice about that supermarket loaf. The video suggests supporting local bakeries that use better ingredients, or even baking your own bread. That way you know exactly what's going in there.
That's a great idea. Nothing beats the smell of fresh-baked bread, and if you know it's hair-free, even better. We talked about the seafood industry earlier, right? Well, this next one dives into a specific type of seafood. Shrimp.
Shrimp. I love shrimp. but I have heard some not so great things about shrimp farming.
Yeah, this video really gets into it. Shrimp farming or aquaculture is often presented as this eco-friendly solution to overfishing. But the reality, as always, is more complicated.
So what's the problem with shrimp farming? I know it's supposed to be bad for the environment, but how so? Well, they talk about the deforestation of mangrove forests to make room for shrimp ponds. These forests are vital for the coastlines. They filter the water, provide habitats for all kinds of species. Destroying them has a massive impact on the environment and also local communities.
So it's short-term gain for long-term pain,
Oh,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's all the pollution that shrimp farms generate. All the waste, the chemicals, hormones, it all gets dumped into the water, harming other marine life. And on top of all that, there are ethical concerns too. Reports of human trafficking and forced labor in some shrimp farms.
Wow, it's like shrimp farming just comes with a whole lot of baggage.
It really does. And even wild-caught shrimp has its own issues. Destructive fishing practices like trawling that damages the ocean floor and results in bycatch. It's a tough situation.
So what's the solution? Should we all just stop eating shrimp altogether?
Well, the video suggests looking into plant-based shrimp alternatives. Apparently, there are some really good ones out there these days, made with things like konjac root, soy protein, even seaweed.
Huh, interesting. I've tried some of those plant-based meat alternatives, and some of them are pretty convincing. Maybe it's time to give the shrimp a try.
It's definitely worth exploring. Okay, let's talk about something a little more lighthearted, but still with some hidden downsides. Gummy candy. Remember those chewy, fruity treats from childhood?
Oh yeah, gummy candy. I still have a weakness for a gummy bear or two.
Me too. But according to this video, those gummies might not be as harmless as they seem. They can cause digestive issues. Apparently, gelatin, which gives them that chewy texture and all that sugar, they don't break down easily in our guts. Leads to bloating and discomfort.
So all that delicious chewiness could actually be causing problems.
It's definitely a possibility. And then there's the sugar overload, which can lead to energy crashes, weight gain, and over time, even increase your risk of diabetes. And let's not forget about those artificial flavors and dyes they use in those brightly colored candies.
Well, that takes the fun out of gummy bears.
Maybe not all the fun,
Yeah.
but definitely makes you think twice. Okay, for our last food item in this part of our deep dive, let's talk about another barbecue favorite, hot dogs. They might be a classic, but this video reveals some unappetizing truths about them.
Oh boy. I have a feeling this is going to be good. Lay it on me. What's the deal with hot dogs?
Well, for starters, hot dogs are basically meat emulsions. They're made from finely ground meat, fat, spices, and other ingredients. But the part that might surprise you is that they often include some less desirable animal parts.
Okay, like what? Don't leave me hanging.
We're talking gristle, fat, skin, sometimes even organs, connective tissues, blood vessels. It all gets ground up into that familiar sausage shape.
Ugh. That is not what I want to picture when I'm biting into a hot dog. Why does it always have to be the good stuff that's messed up like this?
Right. And then there are those preservatives. Sodium nitrates, nitrites, they add those to keep the hot dogs fresh longer and give them that pink color. But they've also been linked to cancer.
So not only are we talking about questionable ingredients, but potential health risks too. Not a great combo.
Definitely not. And of course, there's the high sodium and fat content in most hot dogs. Contributes to heart problems and obesity. But here's the real kicker. A study by Clear Labs, they do food analysis, found human DNA in 2% of the hot dog samples they tested. Even some vegetarian hot dogs had traces of human DNA.
Human DNA in my hot dogs.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. That is enough to make me reconsider my next barbecue.
I think we need a break there. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a mix of fascination and disgust.
I hear ya. It's amazing how much we take for granted when it comes to the food we eat. We see those pretty packages and marketing slogans, but rarely do we stop to think about what's really going on behind the scenes.
I don't know about you, but I'm still trying to process that whole human DNA thing. It's definitely making me look at my grocery list a little differently now.
It's a good reminder that things aren't always what they seem, right? Even with stuff we've been eating our whole lives.
Well, since we're on the topic of unsettling discoveries, what else did this video dig up?
Okay, get ready for this one. It's about chewing gum. Specifically, an ingredient you might not expect. Lanolin.
Lanolin. Rings a bell, but I can't quite place it.
It's a waxy substance. Comes from sheep. Their wool, actually.
Sheep wool. Okay, I'm intrigued, but also a little concerned.
It's commonly used in skincare stuff, for moisturizing. But apparently, it can also be found in chewing gum.
Wait, hold on. Sheep wool secretions in my gum. What's it doing in there?
It's part of the gum base, the non-sugar part that makes gum chewy. Lanolin is more known for the skincare stuff, but it helps create that satisfying chew we expect from gum.
So I've been chewing on sheep secretions all this time.
Mm.
That's interesting, to say the least.
Chewing gum is more complex than you'd think. The gum base is mostly synthetic stuff, like polyisobutylene, that's a rubbery substance that gives gum its stretchiness. And polyvinyl acetate, that's a resin, helps bind everything together. Then they add plasticizers, other additives to get the texture right, how the flavor releases, all that.
You know what bugs me about all this? Manufacturers don't have to tell you exactly what's in their gum base. It's like we're chewing on this mystery blend of who knows what, maybe synthetic, maybe animal stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a lack of transparency there. Makes you wonder, huh? Okay, let's switch gears from chewing to sipping. Energy drinks, I'm sure we've all reached for one of those when we need a boost, right?
Oh yeah, guilty as charged. Those long days sometimes call for a little extra help. But I have been trying to cut back, honestly. What do they say about energy drinks in this video?
They really break down what's in those things. It's not just a simple caffeine kick, there's a lot going on in there. Taurine, for example, is a common ingredient.
Taurine. Now that's a word I've heard, but couldn't tell you what it actually sounds.
It's an amino acid, naturally found in stuff like meat and fish. Our bodies use it for different things, like regulating energy, fluid balance, all that. The taurine in energy drinks, it's usually synthetic or comes from animals. But it's the combo of all these ingredients that's concerning.
Yeah, you've got the caffeine, which is fine in moderation, but too much can lead to those jitters, dehydration, mess with your sleep.
Mm.
And then, of course, there's the sugar. Or even worse, artificial sweeteners. Those come with their own set of problems.
Exactly. The video talks about how long-term, too many energy drinks can lead to weight gain, problems with insulin, your heart rate, blood pressure. It's not good.
It's scary to think that something marketed as a quick fix could actually be doing so much harm.
And it's especially bad for kids and teenagers. The American Academy of Pediatrics, they've actually issued a warning against energy drinks for young people because of the stimulants and the potential health risks for growing bodies.
It's easy to forget those drinks aren't just harmless beverages. They can have some serious consequences.
It's true. There are so many healthier ways to get energy. Sleep, for one. Staying hydrated, a balanced diet, might not sound as exciting as an energy drink, but it's way better for you in the long run.
Okay, let's talk about another childhood favorite that maybe isn't as wholesome as we remember. Fish sticks.
Yeah.
You know, those crispy, convenient things you find in the freezer aisle.
Oh yeah, fish sticks, a classic. I used to love those as a kid.
Me too. But this video makes you look twice at those crunchy little guys. It starts with the source of the fish.
Right, because most fish sticks are made from farm-raised fish, which we
Yeah.
talked about earlier, all those issues with sustainability and ethical practices.
Exactly. Fish farms are often overcrowded, unsanitary, which leads to the need for antibiotics to prevent disease outbreaks. So not only are there potential ethical problems, but the fish itself might not be all that healthy either.
And then there's the fact that they're deep fried, right? Loaded with unhealthy fats, trans fats, saturated fats, all the stuff that increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, all those scary things. Not exactly what you want to be feeding kids.
Right. This video actually gives you the numbers on the fat and sodium content in fish sticks. It's pretty alarming. One serving can have a lot of both. Definitely contributes to heart problems and high blood pressure. So that crispy coating comes at a price, basically.
It seems like it. Makes you think maybe convenience isn't always worth it. There are definitely healthier ways to enjoy fish. Baking or grilling fresh fillets at home, for example. I think ultimately it's given us a lot to think about and hopefully empowered us to make more informed choices.
I agree. It's been a journey of discovery, that's for sure. But it's also a reminder that we have the power to make a difference with every choice we make, every bite we take.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And remember, every bite counts.